anyone share why the data engineering is so important? The learning data engineering is so important at this point of time. Okay, let me continue then. So the learning data engineering is not only confining to a specific job or a specific vertical. It spreads across different ways. So if you want to start your career as a data engineer, or the what do you say, into ML, the machine learning expert, or AI, anything, it can act as a gateway. Even if you want to start your career as a business analyst, or if you want to get promotion in any of the data engineering area, in the current area, so definitely this training will increase the chances of your future endeavors. Like that is a major advantage, I would say, by having this course. And other advantage of this course is it is a unique, we are presenting unique set of skills so that you can learn few things at the same time. That is, so we can learn cloud, you can learn SQL, you can learn big data, Spark and ETL, and we also support for certification. So in a nutshell, it is not a single training like how we go for any single tool such as Talend or Informatica. It spreads across multiple areas. So I would say that is the major advantage with this one. So apart from this, we also train you on the at least two real-time projects. That definitely that will be added advantage. So coming to the cloud, we explain about what are the different fundamentals related to cloud, and what is the difference between on-premise and versus cloud. We also explain about how to build the different clusters and what is the meaning of cluster, and how to build the nodes across all the clusters, and what are the different types of nodes are available in, especially related to Azure. Team, can you please mute? And how to create different virtual machines. And especially the major advantage is how we can sync with our big data technologies. Because you can learn cloud anywhere, but you may not learn how to sync with the big data things. So definitely you can learn that here. And coming to SQL, like we'll do, first we are training you using SQL Server, a popular RDBMS. After that, you are going to learn how this will work in Databricks SQL. So it is almost SQL, but with small variation. And we also teach you about the Delta Lake and different data modeling techniques with related to ETL. So coming to Big Data Spark / ETL, we are going to teach you about Python and how to build the different pipelines, data pipelines using Databricks as well as Azure Data Factory. So the advantage is you have dual sword, like a double-edged sword, so that you can try even for Databricks or Azure Data Factory once you are done with this training. And apart from all this, the unique advantage with this training is we are going to support you how to write the exams on these, like AZ900, which is Azure Fundamentals. And we can also help you if you are ready to appear for any certifications related to Databricks, like Certified Data Engineer or Certified Data Analyst. Of course, it needs some additional funding from your end, but if you are interested, we are ready to help you. And the major advantage is we are going to train you on to get the accreditation, which is free once you are logged into Databricks Community Edition. So you can do for the Lakehouse Fundamentals also. So these are the basics about course objectives. However, one of our trainers will explain you in detail about all these in the future course of time in this session itself. So these are the different logistics. So predominantly we conduct the sessions in weekends. That is a 3-hour session, preferably from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And based on the need and based on the workload, we may need to have some ad hoc training sessions during weekdays also. However, it will not take 3 hours, it will take only 2 hours. So especially these are all required because if you want to complete only train you guys, weekends are enough. However, to make sure you learned everything, whatever we are teaching, and to practice, to have more practice, that is why we are conducting some weekday training sessions as well. And for sure, we'll have some short breaks, at least 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes per every hour. And definitely we give some practice exercises so that my only request is once you join the course, for 10, the ratio should be 1:4. Means if the training time is 1 hour, you should practice at least 4 hours. Then only you will get some perfection out of all the topics that we are covering. And if by any chance, if you are missing any session, definitely recordings are available. So you can go back and go through those recordings. And we will keep all the presentation texts in a common location so that if you want to refer later point of time, you can do that. So any questions related to the course content or logistics so far? Are we good?
Yeah, it's good.
And this is the one of the other reasons that the most of the associates go for data engineering training. Here, this is the fastest growing area, the data engineering area. And it is not only confined to data engineering area, so we can also do it for, let me explain this here. So here, our whatever we are conducting, all the courses, whatever, it will cover the data engineering portion. Apart from this will be helpful to go for senior data scientist or data scientist area or ML area also. At least it will give some exposure. It will act as a gateway. I would not say you will become professional by learning this course in data science or ML. At least it will give a gateway. Hey, where are we on the complete ecosystem, whether it is data engineer or ML engineer or ML ops engineer or business analysis area, or in some other areas, even if you are in quality department, if you are working as a SQA or tester, this course will be helpful to pave a new way to enhance your career. So definitely this is an added advantage. The amount you are spending out of this is definitely exceptional benefits for your career growth in the going forward. And not only the growth of the different sections of IT by learning the data engineering, just you can check how the salary is, the median salary for any data engineer. Just you can see here, you can check here, and you can compare with any other existing technologies such as Java full stack or .NET or QA or any other niche areas. So definitely it can compete with any of the niche areas. So, and these are the metrics that we collected from the internet. It is not prepared by us, by the way. And one of our training gurus, Mr. Venkat, will explain from this onwards. Hey, Venkat, over to you. Thanks, everyone. And if you have any questions, please feel free to pose those.
Hey, thanks, Lokesh. So what I put in this slide is like kind of a core responsibilities of data engineer, right? These responsibilities are there for a data engineer. If you look at last 30 years, there is nothing changed. What has been changed in this last 30 years is the technology which they use in order to do this core responsibilities, right? Either if you work in AWS, you work in Azure, you work in GCP, you work in Informatica, or you work in Databricks or Azure Data Factory, wherever you work, right? This core responsibilities will be always there if you choose your role as a data engineer. Okay. Typically, what it tells is like kind of the first responsibility here is kind of pipeline development, right? We talk in detail what is a pipeline development. Just I want to go through quickly all these five responsibilities and then jump into details on these responsibilities. Then the other responsibility you have is data integration, which is nothing but you should be able to collect the data from multiple systems, right? We can take an example after this slide, how it can be achieved, right? The third responsibility is like data quality. Whatever the data you have, right? You need to check the quality of the data, because business uses this data to make critical decisions related to the business. When you have incomplete data or when you have a bad quality of data, there is a chance like they can make a bad decisions based upon the data. So data quality is also an important responsibility of a data engineer, right? And the fourth one is you should be able to run the pipelines which you created in the first responsibility in a more efficient way. They have to be able to complete in a specified time which were defined by the business, right? So as part of that, your responsibility also to fine tune these pipelines, right? Whenever you build it. The last responsibility is like a teamwork, right? You have to collaborate with multiple teams present inside the organization in order to get inputs, right? And also in order to provide the data which you created to some other teams, right? Let me deep dive into all these five responsibilities with an example so that you can understand what I'm talking about. Let me take the screen sharing now. Can you give sharing access?
Correct. Yeah, please go ahead.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first responsibility which I was talking as a data engineer is kind of a data pipeline, right? Data pipeline, if you typically look at, it has this four tasks. One is ingestion. What is that means is like you get the data from multiple systems inside the organization. So primary responsibility while you create a data pipeline is like to bring the data and keep it in one particular system, right? Typically, it can be a system that stores primarily data for that organization. So your first step in any data pipeline which you create is like ingestion, bringing the data from multiple sources. And the next one is kind of a processing the data. When I say processing the data, it means like you will get some kind of inputs from the business team saying like, hey, if data is coming in this way from the sources, I need to apply kind of some business rules so that it can be changed according to my business rules, right? So such kind of business rules will be applied in the processing stage, right? So this is the second step of any data pipeline which you create. The third step is like after this business rules applied, the data will undergo changes. We have to preserve this data in order to understand this data in future by some other teams like visualization team or machine learning for now. So we have to store this data into a system like a system. So that's going to be your third step, right? And the fourth step of any data pipeline is trying to understand this data, whatever you got it, right? To find out like what is happening inside the organization. So people working inside the organization, they understand the behavior of the organization, how it is performing, whether it is performing good or bad, by looking at the data. So that's going to be analytical part. So whenever you build a data pipeline, you will be able to build all these four related tasks. So, and I say like this data pipeline is not particular to right kind of a technology. It's a common concept. Whichever technology you use it, right? You're working as a data engineer. You should be able to create all these four steps as part of your data pipeline. So that's going to be the primary responsibility. And then I just want to quickly go to the second one. So we are talking about data integration as a second responsibility, right? So what happens here, I just have an example here. You are getting the data from the social media applications like Facebook, right, and Twitter. And you have a popular application most of the industries use called Salesforce. Right? It is used to in order to do an data entry from sales teams. So if you look at all these applications, they are sending the data, right, using something called APIs. This is nothing but application programming interface. So you should be able to extract the data from these websites, right, and present it into one particular storage system, right? It's going to be target. So data integration is nothing but you should have that skills to connect to variety of sources and bring the data from variety of sources and put it into one single place. In this example, I just took some social media applications and a Salesforce application. And if you look at the down right, this is another kind of source which you can anticipate, like you will get a data. One is like sometimes you get a data as a files, typically CSV files. You might have seen most of the times in organization, people are using CSV files. This is a common way you get the data. So you should be able to extract the information from CSV file and put it into a centralized place. And the typical place where you can also see the data is from databases. I was taking here an example called Oracle. So that is also one single place where you receive the data. And also the important thing is like sometimes you get a file with different formats. Like earlier you have a CSV file format here. Now you might also get the data from JSON file format, right? You should be able to read all these different kinds of data. I mean, it's when I say different kinds of data, it is not actually confined to these examples. But what I was trying to tell is like, whatever the way your source system is sending the data, you should adapt that source system and able to bring the data into centralized place and store it for your analysis purpose. So that's going to be your second responsibility of a data engineer, right? Integrating the data from multiple systems. The third responsibility, I'm just going here, it's on the data quality. So I was telling earlier, like, so bringing the data, storing the data, it's not a important thing if your data is corrupted or if your data is bad, right? So it is better not to provide the data which is bad to the business and make them bad decisions. So it's data quality is very important for a data engineer to ensure the data is adhering to whatever the rules that are defined inside the organization. For example, I was trying to explain here a data quality check, right? Here I have a customer details and some customer personal details, email and phone number, and how much is spending, how many times he visited, what are the reward points, right? So the important field, according to this business, this use case, the important field is customer's personal information is very important for this organization in order to send him communications, right? Whatever the reward points he has it. If you look at some customers here, Joe Panic, he doesn't have an email address, so which is an important field. I mean, if you are able to load this data by missing this field, it's going to be data quality issue because it doesn't have a complete information on the particular customer. Sorry. Okay, moving on. If you look at the second customer, this is again missing some other field called phone number. So you cannot communicate back to the customer on his reward points, like in case if you want to send him kind of a vouchers, right? So this is a kind of an example of a bad data. When you get this kind of data, you need to take particular steps according to your organization rules, right? I was trying to demonstrate one example. The other example where you can also see bad data and it's your responsibility to identify it and try to take necessary actions. If you look at this one, right, I was moving the data from one system to another system, like consider this as a source system and this is a target system. I was moving the data, and while moving the data, I was able to drop some fields called email ID for Tom, and I was able to like drop some fields like phone number for Ken, right? And this was present in my source system, but when I was bringing the data, there is kind of a data leakage, right? And I am missing those numbers here, right? So this is also kind of one important check every data engineer checks while they are bringing the data. They are bringing the data which is present in the source system as it is, or they are trying to do some kind of a leakage. How, like while moving the data. In this example, we are telling a typical scenario, right, where there is a data drop can happen while moving the data. So these are the kind of data quality checks I just want to give you, right, to get a understanding. And it's also your responsibility, start responsibility, if you are choose to work as a data engineer, to ensure like your data is having a good quality. Okay, I'm going to the fourth responsibility for your data engineer. I'm just taking here one example, like for an example, here you have kind of a two files. Typically, you can consider it's a two files. One file has the information related to American states here and the population present in that each state. The other file you have something called state information again, and what is the capital for the particular American state, right? Here you have in the first file 11 records, in the second file you have 11 records. When you combine these two files, there is a common attribute here, state. So you can relate population and capital to a state. So when you combine it, it will form 11 records. Whenever because you can able to get together population and capitals in the same row as your state. And now you are able to filter this based upon the states starting with A, right? For an example, here you have 4 states starting with A. So you'll get the 4 results output, right? This is a typical kind of a data pipeline which you might be created more frequently inside your organization. So we are talking about performance tuning here. If you look at this example, this is not an efficient way of creating it. I was taking this example to tell you what kind of performance he will be doing, right? For example, I will take this same same example, I will try to do it in different way and try to achieve the same result, whatever achieved in the first step. What I will do here is like, I will move here, like this, there is some combine operation is I'm doing here, combining two files, and then later I'm filtering the data after combining. Now what I'm trying to do is, I was trying to filter the data first and then combine the data later. If you look at here, I have 11 records, rows. I'm filtering the state which starts with A. And here also I'm filtering the states which start A. So I'll get four records. So here I will combine only 4 records. And this is the efficient way of doing it, because combining the data will take time. So instead of combining 11 records in the first step, if you look at the second step, you're combining only 4 records, right? To create a state, population, and capital, right? All together in a single file. So this is a kind of an example, the kind of performance tunings which you will be doing as part of your data engineering, right? I just want to provide an example for now. If you haven't understand it, it's okay. We can deep dive during the course. Okay. And the last responsibility which you have is like, you have to work with different teams. Like either they are the kind of a providing you some inputs, or they are expecting some outputs from you. So typically you work with business analyst who will provide the business rules that need to be applied while bringing the data from various systems. And you will be working with visualization teams to create tables according to their requirements so that they can provide insights to business. You can also work with machine learning teams, so who will use this data in order to predict like future actions that are needed for the company. So these are the typical collaboration which you will have inside your organization while you are playing a role as data engineer. So these 5 responsibilities, whatever the organization you go, whatever the technology you do, these 5 responsibilities you have to perform as part of data engineering. So yeah, going back to the presentation, do you have any questions for now?
No, it's clear.
Okay. And then in this slide, we talk about the technology stack which we use in this course. Basically, I understand there are people from different backgrounds, right? And everybody will have the question like, I doesn't have any prerequisite for this course. We also mentioned like there is no need of prerequisite for this course.
Venkat sir, can you share the slide, please?
You're not able to see the slide?
Yes, no. We're still seeing the draw.ibo.
Okay. What about now?
Okay.
Yeah. So whoever joins this course, right, they might not have any background on data engineering, right? So what we did is, in this course, we start with basics. If you look at this first layer, whatever you are trying, we picked up 2 languages to start with for the audience who are present in this course. One is a SQL, that's nothing but structured query language. It's a popular language. 70% of the industry uses it. It was there for last 30 years, right? And we are picking up that language in order to introduce first for the students who doesn't have any IT related background or data engineering related background. And we are picking up a language called Python. This also was there in industry from long time. It was very easy to learn language. So we also included Python in our course. These are the basic languages included for all the guys who doesn't have any experiences in IT, like or data engineer, right? Then we picked up a kind of a framework. It's called Spark. It was trying to solve a kind of a problem in the industry which was facing. That's called big data problem. We can deep dive what is a big data real problem as part of our training, right? We also want to introduce this framework for the audience. Then it comes to processing technologies. We are choosing Databricks because it has the capability to run across the clouds. And if you go to the market, you can apply for the job. Organizations which are using AWS or GCP or Azure, when you have Databricks in your skill set, because it has the ability to run in any cloud, right? That is the one reason we are trying to put Databricks in our course curriculum. And we also want to give a flavor of cloud related ETL, like cloud related processing technology. In this case, we choose Azure as our cloud. So we are going to include Azure Data Factory as one of the course inside our curriculum. And whenever you do, right, you need a processing, you should also have a storage, because while I was talking about data pipelines, processing and storage is one of the key steps which you do in your while creating data pipelines. So now coming to storage, right? We choose to store the data in blob, right? One kind of a file system. And we also choose to store the data in database. That's kind of a Azure SQL Server. So in this way, we are trying to keep the course like as constrained as possible. At the same time, whatever the information needed for you in order to go out into the market and try to get a data engineering job, we able to add those technologies in our course curriculum. Okay, I'm going to the next slide.
Venkat, I have one question. Okay, I'm Shish Kumar.
Tell me. Yeah, go ahead.
So what is the difference between the Databricks and ADF?
If you look at Databricks, it is a kind of a distributed processing, if I tell in that way, because I don't want to go into more detail, because there are people who are not aware of this. So it's Databricks, you can consider, you can perform this data pipelines, which I was talking about right earlier. You can perform that on a multiple systems. Like you can create a data pipeline. You can run that pipeline in 10 machines altogether in parallel, right? That is the capability Databricks provides. And it also has the capability to work on multiple clouds in that way. Whereas Azure Data Factory, so it is kind of it is also provides to run in multiple machines, but you no need to manage those machines. In Databricks, you have to manage those machines wherever you're running it. In Data Factory, in cloud, there is this feature called serverless, where you no need to manage the machines. You use the service and go off. And one more difference is Azure Data Factory is only present in Azure Cloud. So if you're working with AWS or GCP, this ADF will not be available. That is also one more difference I can see. Whereas Databricks is available across the clouds. So one technology is cloud specific. You can use it when your organization chooses that cloud. The other technology is cloud agnostic. So your organization chooses AWS or GCP or Azure, right? The other technology will work in any cloud. So that's a major difference.
These both are ETL tools. Okay, is both are handling the data ingestion framework.
Correct.
So Databricks, I can use any cloud.
Yeah.
But ADF we can't, right?
Yeah, ADF is only Azure, because if you look at the first letter, Azure Data Factory, anything which is prefixing Azure, right? It's gonna be something which is available in that Azure cloud. So if you look at Azure Data Factory, right, Azure Blob and Azure SQL Server. SQL Server, if you are not prefixing Azure, right, it is available in other clouds as well. But if you are prefixing Azure SQL Server, then it is only the component present in Azure.
So Databricks can handle files or databases as well.
It can handle anything. See, when I was talking about data integration, right? The data integration primary thing is like you should be able to bring the data from the social media apps. You should be able to bring the data from databases. You should be able to bring the data from CSV or JSON files, right? This technologies has the capability to bring the data from anywhere, as long as you have proper way of integration. This technologies doesn't confine, like saying like you can able to bring the data only from files or databases, right? They have the capabilities to bring the data from any place. All you need to know is how to write a program to bring the data. That
Yep.
is what important.
Yep. To add to Venkat's point, Shashi, right? So, so Databricks is like, as he said, right? So it's more of code driven, and because it's code driven, you have flexibility to do lots of transformation, which is kind of limited in ADF. ADF is like just from like, it's more of an orchestration or a pipelining tool, though it has some kind of transforming capabilities in terms of modifying or playing around or massaging with data, but that's not extensive. Wherein in Databricks you can have one simple example for you to understand. Let's suppose you want to run a custom library, machine learning library in ADF. It would be tricky, wherein you can do the same thing with ease on Databricks. So yeah, that should give an around a major difference. But if you're looking for something more, I can dig deep at the end of the session.
Okay.
Over to you, Venkat. Thanks.
Yeah. So coming back to the next slide, I was talking about this one. So here we also planned a demo to give a flavor how a typical data engineering related works looks like. So I was taking a use case here. So this organization is kind of a bike sharing organization. You might have seen the cities like in Bangalore, you have something called Bounce, self-driving bikes. If you go to Chennai, you have something called smart bikes. So you can think about this organization is similar, right? They provide the bikes based upon the applications, right? You can unlock, you can take a rent, and you can go whatever the place you go and then return it back. And these bikes are plugged with some kind of weather sensors. They were able to capture the weather present in the cities across the seasons, right? And they collect some data. So if you look at some of the data which these bike systems will collect from the sensors which they are plugged in is typically the season information. Like if you are in the winter season, right? Like we have 12 months and it scattered across 4 seasons, right? Winter, spring, summer, and fall. Based upon the date, it will able to understand what season the user is taking the bike out. And it also has the month information starting from 1 to 12. And it has the temperature, what is happening, because we plug those bikes with the sensors. It collects the temperature around the city wherever the bikers are going. It also collects the humidity information and also wind speed information. The reason here is like we have to collect this information and provide some kind of insights to the new bike riders, saying like what are the favorable conditions for them to rent a bike so that their journey will be kind of happy, right? It's not like they are taking out bike in summer season in hot, right? And they are trying to go around the city. It might not be favorable conditions for them to move around the city during summer. So what this organization is saying, like they want some kind of insights on the data which has been collected, right, previously. They want to know what are the extreme biking conditions across the season. As I was telling, the data is scattered across 4 seasons. The first insight which they are looking for is what is the extreme conditions to ride a bike in a given season. So here what we are trying to do is like the information which we have, we are trying to calculate the maximum temperature, because that's the extreme condition which you might be having in a season. Maximum humidity and maximum wind speed. Like when every component is maximum, it's a bad day to take out a bike, right? So if you provide that insights to the new riders, they will take a decisions accordingly whether they need to hire a bike or not on that particular day. And we also trying to get an insight to the rider, saying like, what are the average biking conditions, right? What is the average temperature, average humidity, average wind speed on each month, right? This is also an insight we have to provide to that, so that if it is an average condition on that particular day when he wants to go out, then there is a chance like he will rent a bike from us and go out. The other insight is like extreme biking conditions. Again, the first one is across the season. That is means average across 3 months. Whereas here in extreme biking conditions on each month, like we are trying to give an insight on a month wise rather than on a season wise, right? You have 4 seasons, whereas in months you have 12 months. So it has more granularity to take a decision whether this is a particular month to take your bike out or not, right? So these are the 3 insights we have to provide to the rider so that he can make a decision whether to rent a bike or not, based upon the data which we collected. So I'm going to switch to kind of my environment to showcase some kind of an example how this can be implemented. So give me a second. I'll just stop sharing the screen and start sharing it. So you understand the problem which you are trying to solve in the demo case, right? Before going that, I just want to show you one diagram. I was talking about data pipelines as well, right? If you look at this one, there are 3 kind of insights we are looking for: biking condition across seasons, average biking conditions, extreme biking conditions across months. So in this demo use case, we are considering a file as a source. Like we get this information from the sensors and store inside a file, right? And we kind of apply some kind of rules to calculate these biking conditions. Maximum temperature, maximum humidity, and maximum wind speed are kind of typical rules we need to apply. So that's kind of we are trying to do a transformation here, and then we are loading it, and we are loading it into the table, and then we are trying to look at the insights, whatever this data is providing. If you look at this one, right, this is an ingestion portion, which I'm talking about your data pipeline has typically, like you have to ingest the data from file into your table. And this transformation portion, right, which I was talking about, is nothing but your processing task of your pipeline, right? And this load component, whatever you see it here, table, right? This is the load component of your data pipeline. And this is kind of visualization or analytical components. You can see in this example, I was trying to cover all the 4 tasks which you typically do as part of your data pipelines. And here I have 3 data pipelines. Ingestion portion is common because I have 3 insights that I need to work on as part of this this use case. So that's why you can see typically 3 pipelines covering the 4 tasks which are important as part of your data pipeline. Having said that, I'm just stop sharing it, and I will try to showcase you how to achieve this data pipeline. Here I'm using something called Databricks in this example, which is also covered in our curriculum. So You can ignore this environment for now, because if you are not, you might be seeing it for the first time, but all you have to understand is like, you can focus on the insights, right? Whatever the data which I have, right? What kind of insights it provides. For now, you can focus it on that. Here, if you look at, I was trying to read it from a CSV file, right? Here, the data which I got it. I was using here a Spark in order to do it. And if you look at what kind of data sample I have from this bike organization is like the day, right? You can see that whether it is a holiday or weekday, what is the temperature, what is the humidity, what is the wind speed, right? Whether it's a casual user or a registered user, right? And number of times the user is repeating. So all this information is coming from the bike organization. And then I was trying to create a table using this data set for now. So if you look at the first question, which they are asking to find out the extreme conditions across the seasons, right? Extreme condition is like kind of a maximum temperature and humidity and wind speed. So here I wrote a kind of a SQL. We also cover how to write SQLs in the course. I was just trying to write a SQL to calculate the maximum weather conditions. And here I was able to load the data into the table, right? So we did extraction of the data in a CSV file in this step, right? And here what we did is like, we are able to process the data based upon the rules which we have. And then here what I did is like, I have load the data into a table, right? And now it is a visualization portion. So once the data is loaded into this table, maximum climate seasons, if I run this, I can visualize this data for an example. So you doesn't know anything. So if you want to look at the data, this is a kind of a graph it provides. If you look at the temperatures maximum, so temperature here in this sense is an orange bar. If you look at that maximum is in third season, it's nothing but a summer season. So we all know, like in summer season, temperature is very high. If you look at the season number 3 is assigned to a summer, right? That's why temperature is very high. And if you look at the orange bar where it is very less, the temperature is, look at the first season. First season is a winter season. If you look at winter season, the temperatures are very cold. So that's why you can see here this bar diagram is showing very less. Okay, in this way you can understand extreme conditions. So if you look at humidity in the 4th season, the humidity is very high. That means water vapor in your air is very high. Like if you don't want to go out when there is a high humidity, you don't want to take bike on the 4th season. So in this way, you can take an action whether you need to take a bike or not. So if I am the user, I don't want to go out in the 3rd season because the temperatures are very high. And I will try to prefer to go out in the 1st season. So such kind of decisions you can make while looking at this data. Then second insight, which they are also asking, is an average conditions, right? And again, I'm writing a SQL here. So I'm trying to calculate average humidity, average temperature, right? Average wind speed. Now this time what I was trying to do, instead of season, I want to calculate average across the months. Season is like 3 months is one season. But here I'm trying to go, and season will not help me much. I want to find out average temperature and month wise, like which month has the highest average temperature. So let's go. Again, we are applying some kind of a processing here, rules, and we are loading the data in the table. And now we are visualizing it, right? So transformations, when I say processing task, loading task, visualization task, and ingestion task always will be there. Whatever the code you write, right? It will always will be there. If you look at this one, this is a month wise. So So in the x-axis is the month and y-axis is kind of a values. If you look at this orange is the temperature. If you look at this 7th month of July, that is the place where you have peak temperatures. I mean, on an average, right, that month has very high temperatures. So it will give you more insights on a month wise, saying like, I would not even go out taking bike when it is on July month because the temperature is very high on that month. Right, this is another example which will help the users when to take a bike and when not to. And here again, priorly, we are trying to take extreme conditions at season level, and I'm okay to go like in third season, like outside, but I don't know like which month I should go and which month I should not go, because third season again has 3 months. If I want to know which is an extreme month, right, for high temperatures and high humidity and high wind speed, so I am changing a rule a little bit. I am trying to calculate maximum weather conditions at the month wise now, right? So that I can get more information on monthly basis rather than on a season basis. So I was trying to again do the same thing, kind of processing step, again loading step into the table and visualization step. So if you look at here, the temperature orange, if you look at the orange, this is the peak. You have high temperature in the month of 7, like, and if you look at when the temperature is very low, if you look at January is the month you have very low temperatures, right? So if I want to go in this middle season, 5, 6, 7, I prefer to go in the 5th month because that's where the temperatures are okay when compared to 6 and 7. Such kind of decisions you can able to take while looking at the data. So this is kind of one example how decisions can be taken in an organization based upon the data which you provide to the business users, right? And with this, I think we demonstrated all the 3 insights which is requested by the bike sharing company, and the user can take decisions accordingly. So I think this brings to end of this demo. Like if you have any questions, you can start asking them.
Thanks, Venkat. Great demonstration. The participant team, any questions? It can be related to technology, or it can be related to any functional things related to data, or anything else related to data engineering course or your future aspirations.
Yeah, actually, hi, myself Kishore. I just visited the starting of the demo. Can you please confirm we can cover the automating of these pipelines also, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Venkat can provide more insight. Venkat.
Yeah, we can do that automation of this pipelines using an orchestration services provided inside Databricks itself. We have something called workflows, Databricks workflows. You can write these notebooks and you can schedule these notebooks on a particular time whenever you want to run it. And you can also define what notebook should run. I mean, when I say notebook, whatever I was showing you, the
Or you can tag it to any external vendor. Like
Yep. So to add to those points, right? So yeah, you can do it. And for example, even from ADF, you will be able to orchestrate a Databricks notebook in case your company is using ADF and they want to do some complex transformation. They can orchestrate it. They can write that piece in Databricks and can use Databricks to ADF to orchestrate. And also there are many others orchestrated like Airflows and all also, right? So will be able to do that. So not only the orchestration part, but also the mechanism of alerting can be done, right? So in case your pipeline fails, pipeline passes, and things like that, right? So everything can be done end to end. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Right. I'm Shashi. Okay, so what are the course content we are going to cover in this program?
Yep. To start with, I think you'll be going through the Azure basics. Basically, as we thought to kind of start with Azure, right? So you will be taken like what are the cloud basics, and in general, it's just not the Azure, but we'll be talking about all three clouds in general, and we'll be specifying or limiting ourselves to Azure just to kind of avoid confusion. And then after that, we will go ahead with SQL. Obviously, as Venkat told, right? So SQL is one of the basic essential life saving skill of data engineering. So you will be taught SQL end to end. And then you will be also equipped with Python as a language, right? And that also will be taught. And then once you are good with all three of this, you will be slowly introduced to a big data system, wherein you will be walked around what big data, how big data systems work, and what are like the distributed compute mechanism, and how do we kind of deal with different file formats that we have. And then we have Spark that will come into play, right? Because in order to process that particular big data, you need to have a framework. So yeah, so you'll be introduced to Spark, and within Spark also, right? So you will be like introduced to this Databricks environment, and then once that is done, towards the end of course, when you're already familiar with hands-on coding, we will be also walking you through ADF, which is again more of orchestration, right? So low code tool, an ETL tool, right? So sorry, we will give you a flavor of both, the code wise and without code, which is ADF, right? So and yeah, so that will be whole package. But yeah, and Lokesh, Garu, or Venkat, feel free to add if I missed anything.
So most of the things we'll cover on the basic part only, or we need to like any. So what are the standards we are getting? Like we need to work in the real-time scenarios. Those much standards getting.
Yeah, obviously, because just basic trainings will not help you with anything, right? So we want you to be interview ready, right? So it's just not that, and the basics will not help there. So we will start with basic, we will then go to advanced, and also will help you to understand and see how do you optimize things up, right? So because those are the major focus areas of interviews, right? So we will be covering end to end whatever is required from scratch to a pro data engineer, and we want you to pass out from our batch with having a good data engineering offer in your hand. Yeah.
Just to add, so the course content is part of the websites. So this course is part of a collaboration between Talent Tech Solutions and Recon Technologies. Talent Tech Solution is based out of Hyderabad, and Recon Technology is based out of Bangalore. So both the websites are updated with the detailed course content. So after this course, we'll make sure that you'll get all the details required on what we are covering, in very detail. So that will be part of it. And the other thing is, so as all the tennis was telling, just to make sure that you understand this. So this is a combination course with an end-to-end data engineering coverage and focusing on Databricks plus ADF. Okay, so you'll have the combination skills, which is also with no code tool, and you also have with coding. So both are required for you to be successful in your career. And there are also a few instances where what we have seen recently in the last few 1 to 2 years where we are coming out with this course. What we have seen is the candidate who is having exposure with an ETL tool plus with a coding experience on a big data system like Spark are the people who are highly paid in the market. So that was the trend, and that will continue across. Okay, so you'll be working on those areas here, and the real-time project, 2 real-time projects are also part of the course. Once the complete coverage of the course is there, you'll be working on real-time projects, and again, you'll be owning your own GitHub repositories where You'll be working on some real-time use cases as well. And that's going to be added in your resume as well. So which you can showcase to everyone that you have successfully implemented a product on your own, and that itself shows that you are a certified data engineer on your own by making sure that you are able to deliver an end-to-end project. So that is the use case. And at the same time, we also wanted to make sure that you understand this course is a combination of multiple certification courses. One is with cloud. When Lucas started, he was mentioning about the cloud, the big data concepts. So the official Azure certification will also be part of it, the AZ900. So we'll also help you to make sure that the certification is complete by all the candidates here, because that is really required. Because we have seen a case, there's a student of the last batch who got 62 interview calls just because he's having a certification. I mean, it's not like others don't get it, but 62 interview calls in 2 days is just a record, okay, from what we have seen, and that too for data engineering. And at a time in the market when it is not so stable, and you are still saying 62 interview calls in 2 days, so that adds a lot of value. The value that was created is just because of the way the course content was. We are streamlining based on the standard courses that Microsoft or Databricks is providing, and you'll be going through all these courses, what we have. And if someone is very specific on accreditations, we are also providing that. So if you see this course objectives, we have the AZ900 Databricks Certified Data Engineer Analyst and accreditation for Lakehouse. The first and the last are free, and we'll help you on how to get it. And believe me, the first and last are enough for a candidate to get maximum interview calls. And we're going to work on to get all the candidates certified on these areas. And the second and third, so we also give a certificate from our institute, once you complete the project. So overall, what you have course, what is your course, what you have done. So that will be part of the certification program. But at the same time, if someone is very much interested and very keen to take the real certification of the vendor Databricks, we can also help you. So there are discount coupons which you can do for 75% of it. And you can actually take that advantage also. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So right, that's fine. Thanks for your information. That's really helpful for a lot. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So I just downloaded the content. Okay. So right, so the 12th point you mentioned, right? Azure Data Factory you mentioned just for 4 hours. Okay. Is it sufficient for that?
So it may be 4 hours you have seen, but it will increase. Okay. So that's an limited estimations. It is sufficient. The reason is you're already working on PySpark and in already data engineering. If you're doing with coding, it won't take much time from a tool perspective. But as I said, right, so we are not having any limit on the learning. So if you see one of the point which we mentioned is that now we also do ad hoc trainings in the weekdays. So which is why we planned that time. So that is definitely be useful for the ADF. So we'll increase the number of hours. There was a plan, and which we already have done it. So that is a flexible time which we'll be giving for ADF.
So why? Because why I'm specifically asking, right? Databricks will cover a lot of hours. So that's what I'm specifically asking that one. Okay. It's really good.
Yeah, so I just want to give you some details of the previous trainings, what we had done. So the plan was for 70 hours, but what happened is that went for more than 95 hours, okay? See, we are not constrained on the time generally, so we usually go on based on, so what is the need? Even though we may be stating that 70 hours, but that's not the case. So definitely, you'll be having a lot of details added as part of ADF. And again, ADF will be also an end-to-end courses, as part of end-to-end course we're offering it. So you'll add more hours there. Yes, it is possible, Sasi.
Right. One more question. So most of this Databricks, right? We have to return the PySpark code or Python code.
Exactly. So yeah. So Databricks, you have 3 programming languages, which they support. One is Python, the other one is Scala, the other one is R. So these are 3 programming language, but we go with Python. The reason is that's a universally accepted, data engineering language, which we can always think of. And we are going to cover Python from scratch. Okay, so this course also includes Python. And when I said Python, again, we don't need to worry that it's a coding problem and all. So it's going to be very easy programming language to learn, as one of the trainer was mentioning, Gaurav was mentioning. So it's an easy programming language. And here our concentration is not, implementing, sophisticated code on Python, but it is more about, to build the pipelines. And if you see the pipelines, you got an example of it's a combination of SQL plus some extra interpretation of data frames which was written there. So those lines are just like 2 to 3 lines. It won't be as complex as you see, because right now what happens is thanks to the support of the Spark API, which made it easy for us to write code, simple code with a few lines. Okay. Yeah. So Python coverage is going to be there.
One more. That's fine. So that how companies adapting these technologies? Okay, so how much they are convenient? How about the future of this Azure Bricks and ADF?
That's a great question, Sashi. So we talk about now cloud technologies. So you talk about Azure. See, Azure coverage was at 30 to 40% in the previous years, but now it is actually having a huge market potential. Okay, so it is increasing its stake. It's taking some market from AWS. Okay, that's one. And then when it comes to the analytics market, so we as a data engineer are working on data analytics here. So you're doing data analytics on top using Databricks. So this is the widely accepted tool by all the 3 clouds. So one of the advantage what we get with this course is Databricks is on all the 3 clouds, and Python plus Spark became the de facto standard. Okay, so that's what we are learning, and all the organization who are embracing cloud has to definitely go into one of the best analytical tools in the market, which work on the 3 clouds, and Databricks is one of them. Okay, so that's the reason of choosing Databricks, because there are many courses in the market which says Azure Synapse. But that won't help in general, because we have seen that Databricks is better in the areas of analytics, because all the 3 clouds are supporting it. Even though each of the cloud has their own analytics applications or the platform, still they embrace Databricks. And again, one more thing is, whatever you are actually learning on the analytics by these companies, right? So they have a standard code with PySpark. Okay, so mostly they use the Spark technologies thanks to the Hadoop world, where a lot of PySpark implementations were there. Now, if you have to migrate, there is only one chance, which is Databricks, because it's hosted on all the 3 clouds. So that's a wise choice. And definitely, you see 80% of the market will be with Databricks, who is migrating the data from Hadoop to the clouds. So that's the reason, we can see more and more 100% of Hadoop solutions will be migrated to Databricks, and a lot of work are going to happen on this. So all the companies are going to embrace Databricks because it's on the 3 cloud. And then Azure, which is the market is actually growing it really well. If you see the number of people who works on Azure are less when you compare with AWS. So very less people is more opportunity for you. So that's one thing. Okay. And the other thing is, so if you choose Azure, right? So you also have a set of tools there, right? Now, all the tools will be definitely used. And since 40% of market is a very big market, you talk about ADF, I mean, it is really a best tool for you because 40% coverage with larger companies and even government organizations in the US are also embracing it already. So that's going to be widely helpful for you in the career growth.
Okay, thanks. One final question. Okay, so right, we have some traditional ETL tools like Informatica, DataStage, and Talent as well, right? So Databricks or Hadoop ADF is supported for the migrating those jobs or programs to here.
Exactly. So that's a good question, Sashi. So there's a wide discussion happening in the data engineering world on these areas because so traditionally when I started, as I said, when I introduced myself, we started Informatica and again, Gaurav was also working on Talent. I worked in Talent. So there are a lot of tools, which we all worked and then we came into this area. Now, how can you migrate? So each of the ETLs has their own pros and cons. And again, ETLs has their own advantage. But thank you. All right. So each of the ETL tools has its own advantages and disadvantages. See, right now, what is happening was when the cloud transition is happening, now the ETL tools are becoming into a very big question. Okay. Now, another question is, do we need to invest on the ETL tool licenses? Okay. Now, when you can do that with hand coding, and then the coding that you're doing, it is all coming for free. Okay, when you do Databricks kind of platform or be it any cloud platform which is supporting Spark, the IDE that you see there, the notebooks are all coming for free, of course. Now, definitely, if I own an organization, if I'm a CTO of an organization, I think of a tool which gives me processing as well as the flexibility in the cost. And that's the advantage what is happening. Now, the other thing is, there are also instances where, already the code is already written in Informatica and Talent that has to be migrated, and those use cases are increasing right now. So why a 60 calls for a person with 2 days, right? It's just because of the scenario that, the market, there's no one there. That's one thing who can actually do this data engineering, coming from the ETL tools to here. And that's the one thing which we have seen. And again, the other thing is there's also another scenario. Other part of the verticals also is happening, use the ETL tool with Databricks. Okay, so that's also happening. So especially this is happening within Informatica Talent with Databricks as a processing engine, because there's always a limit on the scaling process. Since I worked on Informatica, we have a native process there, which is written in C++, but you can't extend yourself. Okay, you cannot get ad hoc instances, for processing. That is a problem there. And that they're trying to avoid by making sure that the platform for running is going to become Databricks for them. So that way also it is going to help. All right. I didn't cover your question, Sashi, completely because I gave 3 instances. 3 parts of the problem.
Yes, I understand. Okay. So, right, is this Databricks open source or this is like enterprise versions?
See, let me tell you about Databricks. See, Databricks is more about Apache Spark. See, if you see, we're telling about Big Data Spark in this slide. The object is Python Spark, and this PySpark is something which you can run on Databricks. Okay. Now, the advantage of Databricks is that since we are hosting it on cloud, so we start with Azure. So in Azure, you create virtual machines. Okay. Now, on the Spark side, what happens is you need a lot of processing capabilities. Okay. Now with Databricks, what is happening is you're getting, the processing power that you require. If you require 100 machines to process 1 petabyte of data, that you can get it by Databricks kind of ecosystem because it's on the cloud. So that's the advantage we have. Now, the same PySpark also works on the traditional, Spark ecosystem. Like you can also have a standalone on your own machine. You can also put it on the Hadoop cloud. So these are all there. But why Databricks is just that Databricks came as a company who founded by the founders of Apache Spark, and it is on cloud, and it gives you immense processing power that no other Hadoop platforms or the big data platforms are given in the market. So this advantage what is Databricks. Now, why Databricks again? Is it giving for free? No, they give it, but the processing we have to pay. In fact, our cloud labs will also have to process. So we definitely have to pay for it. But we have a community edition, which is given for free, where you can actually, if you see the demo was all carried out in the community edition, where you are all have seen the beautiful demo. So that is for free, but you'll have only one small cluster with a minimum 1 single machine. But in the real time, you have something, where you need some 10 nodes machine, a cluster. So we'll talk about those in detail in the course, in the fundamentals. So that possibilities are only with the enterprise version.
Okay, come on.
Just to add to Kumar's point, you should understand the value of Databricks in a way that that's the only company where all 3 cloud majors have invested. So you have stakes from Google, from Amazon, as well as Microsoft. So you can think of how they embrace Databricks, right? So kind of the value that they understand, that is where they're kind of investing all of 3 at one place. So can let you the importance of Databricks in general.
Okay. Thank you very much to answer all my questions very patiently.
You're welcome, Sashi, and thank you for the question.
Duty. Thanks. Over to you, Lokesh.
So thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Kumar.
Just to add, please provide your feedback here. So there's a feedback form sent. Okay. So please make sure that you provide your feedback on the session, how helpful it is, and any improvements are required. And if you want to get enrolled to the course, so for Hyderabad and all, so please make sure that you reach out to Sanjay sir, who is also in the call. Thank you for making the session happen, Sanjay. And make sure that you get in touch with Sanjay as needed. And for the people from Bangalore or who came from Regional Technologies, so do let me know. You can reach out to me on my mobile if you need to get enrolled. Okay. So great. Thank you all. So the feedback form is already there in the link. Please check the chat. Please take it. I'll just give 1 minute for all of you to take the form, and then we can actually close the session if you don't have any questions.
And also, can you guys confirm once you have like copy pasted it so that we can see that you all have it now?
Yes.
So you can confirm by saying yes in the chat window.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Kishore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kumar.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all. I think we can end the session then.
Thank you, Kumar.
Thanks, everyone. I'll keep the session active for some more time so that you can check the form and you can fill them.